It's time for Who Watch, Time and Relative Blackness in Space.
We're here to talk about Series 14, Episode 6, Rogue.
Rogue was written by Kate Herron and Brittany Redmond and directed by Ben Chessel. The official synopsis is the Doctor and Ruby land in 1813, where guests at a Duchess's party are being murdered and a mysterious bounty hunter called Rogue is about to change the Doctor's life forever. Which is perhaps the most accurate synopsis we've gotten so far. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Though I have questions about the life-changing forever part. We'll get there.
Okay, so here's the recap. It is light because, again, life is lifing. So they land in 1813. I want to say Bath, England, right? And immediately we know that this is their play on a Bridgerton, because it's kind of specifically stylized in a more, a fantasy way. But it's just very beautiful gowns, uppity people, the whole thing. And right off the bat, we get a little murder and a little body snatching. So we already know these people are killing people and taking their appearance. We get that right off the bat. I love that. Don't have to really dwell on it. Ruby is in, her get up and her, we're gonna say cosplay, but she's in her period accurate gear, I guess. And she's, people okay, who is that? What's going on? And the Duchess, who is the host of the party, takes to Ruby, so she's getting to, mingle around and kind of get the tea and whatnot. Meanwhile, the Doctor's, scoping, trying to see what's going on. Oh, this is the part we forgot to recap. So Ruby has these psychic earrings. So that's why she's able to dance, do the little dances and whatnot. And the Doctor says, oh, don't turn on battle mode or something like that, which I love that they was let's park that. But anyway, he gets interference. So that's what makes him ooh, why am I getting interference from why would something be interfering with her earring? We are in the past. They don't have technology, whatever. So he peeps who we learn is Rogue on the balcony, brooding, looking all moody, overlooking the scenario. Immediately is okay, the gays are here. They have arrived. So they start to chatting and carrying on. And then again, we go back to one of the body snatchers, is what I'm gonna call them, taking another body because they were the help. This is the words they were oh, I chose the help. That was not a good move on my part. So they upgraded to the asshole dude, the guy that is making all the women ineligible to be married because he out here sleeping around. That one. So we see that. So we gotta again know what they about. Ruby follows that man and one of the young women to a little, library somewhere. They doing what they doing, which is very untoward. And she over there oh, not them up in there. And then she knocks something down. They notice what's going on? She's what? I ain't seen nothing. So it's a whole cute little moment. We all agree that we would do the same thing because we're messy. We love mess. And yeah, so they start to discover. I feel it's happening at the same time. Ruby is discovering oh, there's some body snatching going on, and then separately, the Doctor and Rogue are talking about the body snatching. It's a whole thing. My notes are just they was doing gay ass shit. The Doctor and Rogue, they go to his spaceship, which is they very much did a measuring contest with he's oh, where's your ship? And it's oh, this is look at my ship.
Very cute.
It was a cute little thing.
Why is it very much the Doctor's it's behind a tree?
Why is it behind the tree? Right? It's a whole thing. And the
You
Rogue is like, oh, here's my whole like beautiful like vessel that like I'm uncloaking, so you can see the doctor like, okay, like a proper like OG spaceship vibe. So it's cute. They on the spaceship, and like Rogue thinks
but
the
then
doctor is.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, Rogue gets one up on the doctor for the cloaking piece, but then they get inside and Rogue's spaceship is like cluttered and janky, and the doctor is like,
Yeah, I
"Oh,
was about to say
sir,
like
oh no."
it's like, have you heard of like Windex or whatever? You know what I mean? Like,
So
have
the
you heard
doctor gets the one
of?
up on the interior.
But yeah, so like the whole time they kind of like they flirting, they doing the thing, they like flirting and whatnot, but kind of like they both suspicious of each other. They both think the other person is the the villain of the story or whatever. Just a lot of gay banter, a lot of like flirting and carrying on. But then also Rogue is like, I genuinely think that this is villain. So like puts the doctor in like this little trap that also serves as a teleport pad because we love multi-use, multi-function objects, whatever. And the doctor in the trap, and it's not concerned because the doctor, they get out their sonic remote control because that's what it is now, and they just start pressing the buttons trying to get out the trap, but the trap ain't getting loose. But they like, okay, I'm gonna play this music, see what you got going on the playlist. They played a little song. I forgot the song now because I didn't see so many edits where people have changed the song that I don't remember what the original song is. But the doctor just a body rolling. The doctor just having a whole little moment, singing along, winking. It's a whole thing. It's the cutest thing. It's like the first time we see 15 in the club, like just dancing, just having fun, just like very reminiscent of that in terms of just being like, I know that this is a situation, but I'm gonna have a
Yeah,
little
it was
fun with it.
Kylie.
I was about to think it was Kylie, but literally
Sorry.
so many versions of it were immediately uh available with different songs, but I was like, maybe it wasn't. Like, I don't know what the song was. So they have this whole back and forth, and then um the doctor like forced like good old fashioned Google me, like literally check me out, like see who I really am. Then we get this like whole holographic of all of the like doctors' faces. Like they include Joe, which I'm like bet because I was ready to go swing on somebody if I didn't see who I need to see up in this. But they also included one of the doctors from I want to say like a game. So it's another doctor they kind of pulled into canon from one of the other medias. I think it was a game, but it might have been a book. We'll discover together. But so we get to see that, and then we also get to see somebody who is aware of Time Lords in some kind of fashion, experience meeting a Time Lord because they're kind of, I guess, past tense. I don't know. It's very unclear, really. But that's a whole little moment. The Shaka Doctor. Yeah, I don't. Where's the Shaka Doctor from? From the 2003 animation. Thank you, Talia. I remember I read this. I was like, oh, that's nice. And literally, my brain said, this is not useful for you in this moment, and I lost it. But yeah, so it was kind of cool because it's pulling in more, um, like making more additional media canon. But yeah, I done lost my place because of course I did.
Just
Shenanigans
they
occurred.
decide to set the trap together
Right.
and
They
let
decide to
Ruby and
get
Emily
the,
in.
I believe they call it shoulder. I just know the word sound. It sounds like a slur, and I remember thinking like this sounds like a slur, and I don't want to say it out loud. But like at this, I think it's just like a random word,
Yeah,
shoulder or something
shoulder.
like that. But I'm gonna call them body snatchers because it just I don't know how to explain it. It feels like a slur to me. They decide that they have to like set a trap for the body snatchers. So they like we have to call the scene. The doctor is like they get in there. The doctor like we got to do something. Rogue is like I'm not with the play. Like I don't be acting. He's like all right, well I'm gonna do it. So then he's like let's just dance. So they dancing. Man don't know. He from the future or wherever he's from. He don't know about homophobia apparently, but the people looking, the people shook. They shookington. They said, "Oh, not that in our party, in our function." So it worked. So it's like, hey, this is two men dancing at the function. Everybody's already candlelight. Then apparently they have a lover's tip to really take it to the top. And then a proposal at the function between two men. It was a lot. Everybody was like, oh my goodness, they fanning themselves. It's like, what is going on? It's shenanigans. But it also, like, on a personal level, the doctor was like, oh, wait a minute, this is a little much. Wait a minute. what we doing? Like, what are we? Which I thought was fun. Because the doctor was like, I was definitely playing, but now you're making me nervous. I don't know if we're playing no more. But when, in the midst of that happening, because there's kind of like the two stories concurrently going, Ruby, the girl, was like, I'm about to take Ruby. I like Ruby can give it when needs to be gave. That's what I'm trying to be looking like. So she was trying to body snatch Ruby. And they do this little fun thing where they like make it seem like Ruby got body snatched. The next time we see her, she's like on the arm of the asshole dude that was already body snatched. And then like she like turning her head all weird, like bird like, because these are like bird like creatures in their real forms. And so we thinking like, oh, they got her. They got her. Which I was like, I don't think they did. But again, not the point. That's what they want us to think. So when they set the trap, Ruby's in that trap. The doctor like, I'm about to send y'all the hell up out of here because y'all want to be out here killing people, and that's bananas and pajamas. And she was like, damn. Yo, I'm actually Ruby in here. This is really Ruby. And everybody looking like, no, you got body snatched, girl. She was like, no, I turned the earrings onto, like they showed, kind of flashback to finishing the scene of her almost getting body snatched and showing her going into like battle mode and doing the bebop, the whoop-bop. So she beats this up. Then came out there and said, I guess it's what I'm doing now. Which, fine. Like, you could have literally not did that. Whatever. It's fine. She could have just left. Like, whatever. So, the doctor is like, they had this was like the most doctory moment, obviously, of like, it's a group of these people who will definitely kill everybody in this room once they are free from this, like, trap. If we free them and don't send them away. So the doctor's like, I can't send Ruby away. And then Rogue's like, you gonna like let them kill everybody, including Ruby, or you just gonna send her with them? It's a whole fiasco. Ruby like, just do what you gotta do, doctor. I was like, bet. She see it. She understand what's going on. But for reasons unknown, not for reasons unknown, but I think it's kind of a Jehu. Rogue says, you know, crazy. I'm gonna actually go ahead and just take Ruby's spot. Now I'm in the trap with the body snatchers, and I'll go be teleported. Ruby's got tossed out. Everything's all fine and well. The doctor said, boop, boop, they gone. Then they go.
And well, the doctor didn't do it. He did it himself. He kept the...
Well, not that, but like he didn't stop it. Like it was like already... The thing was already counting down. Once it happened, like I don't know. It all happened very fast. But the point is, the doctor, it didn't stop the party.
Yeah, Rogue has the remote in his hand.
He took it from the doctor?
Yeah. He put the remote, pushed Ruby out, and then he clicked the...
Okay. I thought it was like on the timer at that point. Because they was like, it's finna happen. Whatever. I missed the part where he took the remote. But either way, the point is, the doctor didn't try to get that remote. That's all I'm saying. He's like, oh, Ruby out, I guess. Do what you gonna do. But yeah, so they go away to another dimension, apparently. It's unclear. Because later, Ruby's... First off, the dude says, find me, which I'm like, okay, let's pause. Because no, I literally bet you 17 minutes ago. It was probably like hours in universe, but I don't know. They also kissed, but I felt like that was a big deal, but it actually kind of wasn't. Like that was not a deadline. Was like, this is the first same-sex kiss on Doctor Who. It definitely wasn't. It wasn't even the first same-sex kiss like among men. It wasn't even like, you know what I mean? Like, so whatever. Anyway, he says, find me. The doctor's like, got the tears in his eyes. I think he might still be emotional about Ruby possibly dying. But they also flash back to like him promising that he was going to protect Ruby, which is a crazy thing to promise. Like, you do this all the time. I feel like you need to learn. You can't make that promise. Like, it's like how they say, like, when you go to a doctor's office, they can't promise to heal your family member. That's just not a thing you can't promise a thing like that, right? The kids was I had the connections. I remembered it, but not the connections. Yeah, the kiss is why how Rogue got the remote. There you go. Thank you, Talia got us. But I feel like the doctor would not be disarmed by that, actually. Like, I just don't think that would actually disarm the doctor. Like, I don't think he'd just move his arm. Like, you thought, but...
I mean, the thing is, I think that they I think they meant it to be, which we can get to. Like, I thought it was interesting for that reason.
Right. But yeah. And so after all the shenanigans occur, I think I don't actually genuinely know what happened to all the people that was at the party. I feel like they were just like, y'all be good out there. I don't recall. They were just, they don't men in black these people. I just realized this as a concept in Doctor Who, but it's somehow this episode really dawned on me. I'm like, they don't have a flashy thing. They just let people live with this memory. That was a party full of people. That's a lot of people. Like where this would be an urban legend by the time, I don't know. I think it would just be funny if this was something that they like somehow there's like ends up being a random urban legend about body snatchers, but like decontextualized. Um, so the very end is like the doctor doing the doctor thing. It's like, all right, on to the next. Like, let's move. And Ruby's just like, nah, like let's sit with this for a moment. Like, you get to feel bad about the situation, especially because the doctor's like, all right, we're gonna put his spaceship in orbit around the moon because it's gonna take a long time to like for him to come back. It read to me very unclear. Like, are we gonna try? Or are we just like eventually he'll find his way? Like it was that part was unclear to me. Cause I took it very much like I'm not about to go look for him. But if I was like that would actually be interesting to me if that was what it is. Cause like we already know that this is we sent them somewhere that they cannot be found. So saying find me is like y'all can't see me, I forgot. But like I'm like saying find me is not I can't. But also like he thought of TARDIS, so maybe he do like you can get over there if you really believe in it. So I don't know. I'm unclear about that, and I guess we can get into that. But yeah, they just get to sit in that moment for a little bit. The doctor like normally moves on so quickly that they don't sit with what just happened. And Ruby kind of forces the issue, which I liked because then the doctor realizes like, oh, I can acknowledge that this hurt or that this upset me. Which was a good moment, even though
I mean,
I would be remiss to say that like I would like that to happen in other contexts more than in this one specifically. Like that wasn't too bad.
and I like and dislike it because it's low-key Ruby's fault, right? Like bruh died so that I could have you back because I was clearly distraught over you. Ain't nobody tell you to go acting like I told her to begin with. I just feel like that was, and again, whatever. Maybe it was what the doctor needed, but I would put myself in this situation. I would have needed Ruby to just chill or not process my shit as I needed to, but to have the person kind of at the center of the action being like, no, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I'm like, girl.
No, I didn't mind it. Like, I just didn't mind the fact that she was saying to not just walk away, like not just go to the next thing before you have time to process. That's my main, because I feel like that's the thing where we just like, I don't think she, like, again, because why, when you beat the lady up, did you not lead to safety? Because I would have been in the TARDIS post to that. Like, he'll find me. What was your plan in that situation?
Yeah, Bree.
So that's where she annoyed me. Like, I was with her the whole time because I'm like, yes, mess. I'm following the mess. I'm like, peeping game. But as soon as you realize there's like immediate danger, and then you get out of that immediate danger, rather you didn't stay in the like the lead, go to the TARDIS, leave the room, do anything else but like play along. You don't know what the situation is. Why would you make it
and so
easy
it felt like
into it?
It felt like she could have had a moment of processing too in that, and like one, damn, I almost died. Like this was like the closest she got to being taken out. She maybe except for like Boom where they were all about to go, but really this was like and they brought her back in Boom. She was less aware of it, but this was kind of like the moment where she's staring at the doctor like, oh wow, I'm gonna have to like sacrifice myself for the world. And then also, I don't know, they still are giving the sense that like the doctor and Ruby, like they care very much about each other. Obviously, the doctor is not trying to let her die for any reason, but they still feel new in like their friendship. Like I don't know how much she knows about the other losses that he has had. So it's just
I was
like
just about to say, this might be a situation where they need to tell because they're not showing
They need
in
to let
terms of
us know. Right.
get
Like,
this.
have there
Yeah,
been
I get
years of
the
travel
idea
that
that
we
they
don't
have
know
a
about?
much tighter, right? Yeah, like they seem much tighter in the way they interact than what we've seen. So I'm like, y'all are mad close for the things that we've seen, and usually there's a little more of that kind of allusion to time passing between
Right.
episodes of like, oh, remember we went to that woo woo planet or whatever. It's none of that. So I'm like, if y'all are going from these places to these places that we seen, y'all are way close. Like y'all mad close for that. But it also to, or we know that he's been at her home, right, with her family. So my thought is also that maybe between they are like that's happening, but it's not happening in an adventure, so to speak. It's happening like they just having conversations. Because, like, again, he was very forthcoming when she first joined the TARDIS, but not in a specific way where she would have, like, oh, I remember you talking to me about Martha, or something like that, where she would have something to pull from in some of these situations. Like, would she have a reference point for it? It's unclear because it's very much like, that's my best friend, and they seem to know how each other move in these situations, but we don't see them ever, like, right now, like, have a, like, let's review what has occurred so we can know what's going. You know what I mean? So it's weird. Like I think they come off, and this might be the chemistry of the actors. Like they seem super close, but I'm also like the story is important their closeness. So now I'm confused on if they both are just like you're my best friend. Like they just decided, and that's fine because I very much vibe with like, oh bitch, I fuck with you. We besties. Let's go. But but I'm also not about to take that person and go like on a road trip through the middle of the country without knowing how they're gonna vibe in certain places. You know, I just feel like you gotta know people, you gotta learn people.
She really out here like an expert companion. It's like, no, she can't even spy without knocking books over. Like, why are you acting like she is freaking like Donna Noble out here? I just don't understand. She need to go through companion training, quite frankly.
Right? She just like took like a. It's like, and I get it because I also feel like this might be a thing that's for the younger audience or like newer people who coming in like don't know that like it's more of a period of adjustment. I think it's kind of one of those things like this might be one of those things that as returning viewers or people who've been watching it for a while, we just have an expectation and it's harder to necessarily remove that expectation. I don't know that this bothers people who are just watching this for the first time. Like, oh, she got it. That's just how they roll. But I'm like, I need like, can we have just like 5 minutes where we just have a conversation about like what has occurred thus far? Like, let's just break it down. Like, okay, bitch. So we went to that one planet. Alma got blew up. So let's not do X, Y, Z. Or you know, granted, to be fair to her, he the one
Well,
stepping on shit all
okay.
over the place.
And
So
then
he the one needs to get it together.
I was gonna say the other reason that this is important. So I'm wondering if it'll be addressed next episode because the other reason this is important and interesting to me is the Susan twist of it all, right? And so Susan is like the woman that has shown up in some way in every episode. In
Which I
this
didn't notice
episode, she
in
was
the moment, but
in the portrait, like in one of
yeah,
the portraits in like the home where the party is taking place, and Ruby like asked the Duchess like, "Oh, who is that?" And she's like, "Oh, that's Lord Barton's mom," right? And it seems like the episode next week we're gonna get into like who is this
who that
woman.
is.
But so what I'm interested in is like we know that they keep seeing her, but like over what period of time, right? Like I'm what is that? Like, have you been seeing this woman pop up for a year now? Has it only been like the 6 months? Like Talia was saying there was a reference to sort of June 2024 in the Devil's Chord episode, the music episode, which would put them at 6 months past Christmas, 2023, which is when we have them meeting. But so even then, like seeing that face, if they're still in summer, 6, 7 months over 7 months versus seeing that face over like 2 years. I don't know. It's just an interesting um thing to me. At like what point do they actually start asking those questions? So I'm curious in the next episode if they'll break it down of like, oh, we saw her here at this point and here and kind of give us that timeline that we've been looking for. Because
And I'm
yeah,
also curious if they've seen her as many times as we've seen her, which is to say, like, have they noticed it every time we've noticed it as the audience? Because it seems to me like they started to notice it, like, wait, but they might not have noticed it every time that she's appeared. But that's for us as the audience to be like, okay, she's actually been everywhere y'all have been since y'all been together. But like, they might only notice her each at one place. You see what I mean? So we also don't
right.
know how aware they are of her in the as the audience is, so we obviously get to the perspective that's outside of their own. So it's it's interesting. But I also was like, so you telling me that we gonna have to wait a whole nother season to deal with whatever the fuck Ruby got going on, which I figured they wasn't gonna immediately like unravel Ruby, but I don't care about this lady. I can't. You know what the thing is about it is that like it's one of those things that got less. I cared less the more that she showed up. It's supposed to be the opposite. It's supposed to be like, oh damn, she really everywhere. Like I'm intrigued. Now I'm just like, I actually kind of don't care, to be honest. Like, but hey, this is what we're doing.
I
Go with it.
care, but I feel like I know the direction they're going to take it in. And so I think the intrigue is lost because I already have a theory. Now, if my theory
I
is
don't think I
wrong,
have a
that
theory.
will be interesting um
Right.
to see. But like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. That was recap, but it also went kind of into like the discussion, but that's fine because um this is the episode that we have very little negative to say about. And I personally chalk that down. So first and foremost, it was not written by Russell T Davies. Okay, so let's start there. It was written by Kate Herron and wow, I just bought and Brittany Redmond. So we already get new voices, like different perspectives. It's it's an episode that doesn't have to make like it doesn't have to fit into anything like a narrative, so it can just do its own thing, and it does. It's very kind of like we obviously get the portrait, which I honestly didn't see in the moment, or like I guess I just didn't register it as important because I think again my brain has now passed the point of oh there she goes to like she's there somewhere, so it doesn't stand out to me anymore. Um, but like, so it's a pocket episode, like an episode that just exists. Like those are a lot of the best episodes of Doctor Who, the ones that are not really necessarily tied to the larger story and don't end up being tied to the larger story. Like they just end up being pocket episodes. Like they just work. So I think those are two things. It's also because it's a historical, and there are frameworks. Like they are working within a framework. They're working in like a aesthetic framework. They're working in like a period framework. So we like, you can obviously go away from that however much you want to, right? But like generally it gives you like a box to play in, but it's still a box. Like you still there are certain things you are not going to do. So you're not going to try to reinvent the wheel in this box. And they also are very clearly going for like a Bridgerton vibe. So there's also like a whimsy to it that if you go too far out, you are not going to maintain that vibe. It's not fun no more. You lose that, and so it doesn't quite play as you want it to. So I think having those, it's like it would have been hard to get wrong. Like they could have, but it would have been harder, I think, than in when you kind of have like literally could do anything because it's the future. The future could be anything. It could look like anything. It could be aesthetically whatever. So I think that is it, but I really think it's obviously because it was just not written by Russell T Davies. So just having like fresh, separate voice is useful. Like in general, just because you're the showrunner, you don't have to write every like you can dole those out. You know what I mean? One thing I didn't like about American television is like there's a showrunner, then there's a writer's room, and generally a lot of voices are now sometimes there are a lot of similar voices, so you get the same issue. But at least it's like another person to be like, hey, maybe not. This is also my like strong for Cherry Shy. The strong. It has that great aesthetic, very fun Bridgerton vibes. That's a strong. Another strong is that it's a simple, coherent plot. It has a simple, coherent villain. It's not saying that it's an episode that doesn't have anything going on. It's a thing that's saying that we are being very straightforward about what the like immediate problem is and solving that problem and not trying to introduce additional problems for no reason. But it's also like a fun month, like
Right, and
creature
I
of the
was gonna
week kind of
say
thing.
it's fun that it's like a sort. So it's funny because we've had other episodes, like literally last episode, we're like, oh my gosh, this is so overdone in sci-fi. Like, please stop. But this is one of the things that's like always fun in sci-fi, like a body snatching like story or episode. It's like classic. But there's
Right.
ways to do it that
There's like so
bring
many
that
ways
like
to
in
play with it.
the moment when they were like, I think there's a moment where Rogue is assuming that there's one shoulder, and the doctor, when they're running out the party, is like, "Oh man, there's probably two." And then they turn up, and it's like, "There's five of them up in here." And so, like that was a lot of fun. I thought they played that well.
I have like the one negative, which Talia speaks to in our chat and says that like my main issue, this is Talia's quote, my main issue is that they use cosplaying when they mean LARPing. And I had a similar thought. I was just like,
Interesting.
hey, this is not technically cosplay. Because, I mean, it's cosplay in that you are putting on a costume, but LARPing is actually more accurate. Because you are role playing. You are actually putting on the outfit, but then playing the part, right? That's the difference. Like some people just cosplay and look cute, boop, bop, bop. That's the whole thing. They were going for the lived experience of inhabiting these characters, you know. But I also thought it was, I don't know if it was meant to be kind of shady to that community,
Really?
but I was like, it was like, oh, they're cosplaying, and they made it seem like I don't know, I don't like. I'm not saying I don't think it was, but I'm like, it could very well. It's just like what, like why, what a cosplayer did you, or what did a LARPer ever do to you? Like, just let them have their fun. They just kind of made it sinister where it don't have to be sinister, but it's not in a bad like. But I said this is a minor, just a thing I noted. It's not like oh that.
I think
that was one of the things where I was just like, dang, like people just want to be cute, have fun. Like everybody out here kill you. We ain't all committing murder.
I do think they get to that though, right? Because that's what Ruby and the doctor are doing. So like I think they show both. Like they have Ruby and then like Ruby from the jump is like hyped about like, oh my god, I'm in this dress, like I get to whatever
But they
be. I
don't
don't know why they
self-identify in that way, even though they are doing it too. They're not like, oh, we out here, we doing our little cosplay, we doing our little role play. They don't see like he says like, oh, cosplayers, like it's not like it's outside of them, right? So that's why I was like, hey, yo, and not cause you could be slightly shady. If that's how you feel about like you done been to some cons, you done tired of these cosplayers getting on your ass. You like, you know what? I don't cosplayers because the problems in the party, in the function, whatever. Like that's fine. That's like you're not harming a community by saying cosplayers can be annoying or whatever, or LARPers can be annoying or something like that. That's not going to like change laws or like affect how people move through the world. Really, it's just one of those things. Like, okay, hey, they just want to have their little fun. So that was my only negative, which is not even a negative, which is one of the things I was just like, what did these people do to you? Like, who hurt you? Like, you went to the car and it was like, they taking up too much space up on this floor, doing their little pictures. I'm trying to buy my merch. I don't do stuff. I had a whole scenario in my head because I have had these thoughts. I've been like, y'all just gonna stand in the middle of the floor while I'm talking about this stuff.
yeah. I didn't really read it that way, but that's interesting.
It was just a thing I noticed. I was just like, cause it's like it was like cosplayers. I was like, dang, you know, with the hard ER, but like it's cosplayers. It's not.
That was
It's
one of
not.
my strengths. I was like, I just love the idea of aliens participating. I guess we can call it in LARPing or role
Yeah,
play,
LARPing.
whatever.
Yeah.
Even if they decided they were going to do it in a murderous fashion as opposed
And
to
it
coming up
also
with
don't.
some
They don't.
other way to do it.
I was like, I feel like they could not. I thought the murder is just a they choose. That's a choice. I think the murder is like a fun choice.
Well, I
I
think
don't
that's
actually
they
think they
have to
have to
in
murder for no because like I don't know, maybe they do.
could they
That's one
cloak
of the things that
themselves
it ain't
without.
important to the story. I just feel like they do it because the other person ain't walking around. It's just like a convenience thing. Like oh, if
Well, right, they
people
want
see
literally
two of
want
them.
to take like their lived role. They don't want to just like create characters on the side. They want to like be the king of England.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't like. I still feel like the murder part of it is just that. I feel like they can just take what they need, like get the vibes. I feel like they're like Transformers. They just scan them, get the info they need, and go. That's a very specific reference everybody not gonna get. I don't know who be watching Transformers, but that's the vibe. They just be like, boop boop. Now I'm a Dodge Charger. That's where I am now. So I don't know.
Now, what would
I
they
just
do
thought
with the?
for me, my head canon was just that they actually don't have to murder to. It doesn't serve the function of like they could just get people's energies, essences, or whatever. They just murder for fun. That's my own personal head canon. It might be wrong, but I just think it's fun as a character thing that they just like genuinely. This is literally costume for them, so it does not like they don't have to be delicate. They don't care. It's like taking off like, and I know some of y'all know what this is. When you just start throwing shit, like when you trying on stuff and you just throw it off, try on something else. I just kind of like the idea from a character point of view of just like they don't have to kill them. They can actually just take a little more time, just put them in the closet, and then they locked away. Which you like murder them because you literally don't care. Like it's just a costume for you. That might just be me. Like I just didn't feel like I was like I don't think they need to. I like the first thing I thought was like I don't think they need to kill them. I think they just like the killing is just the thing they do on the side. They can get their essences and be on their way. But maybe they do. Either way, it's fun. I like that we got immediately to it and was just like people dying, people shape shifting. It's a whole thing. Um, and cause I obviously we knew as soon as that's the premise, you like, how are they gonna use the doctor in this? Because the doctor is actually technically a shapeshifter. So it's like how, and I like how they did it. I thought that was cute
Mm-hmm.
that we got to see the faces of the doctor. Um,
In
yeah, I like for
general,
me mostly strong.
I thought that this episode gave more exposition for the doctor than some of the other ones did. That was one of my strong points of just like you said, people got to see the many faces, and really think about for a moment the Time Lord of it all, and then got to see, some of the conversation he has with Rogue about like loss and people you leave behind, and then the moment with like Ruby, which, you know, I don't know how I feel, I guess, indifferent to at this point. Like I don't know where this doctor's like moral meter is. It's fine. But I mean, it made sense that Rogue, I guess, saved him from the wrong decision of letting everyone die anyway, just because he didn't want to push the button and have that be on him. It would have been a different situation if it was like, oh, you don't send Ruby with them and we have some other way to stop them. But that was literally not the case. Like, girl was going to die regardless. This was just about your guilt. Um, and so that's also interesting. I think if the doctor feels like I'm at the place where if I'm responsible for one more companion's loss, like that's what's going to take me over after these thousands of years. Um, so I'm interested in what got him to that
I mean,
point. Like, why is that the
I
breaking point?
literally, well, for me again, I just think about the flashback to like talking to her parent and like
So why would he
having
make
that
that promise to begin
relationship.
with? That's a stupid fucking
Right.
promise
Anyway,
for
but
him
I
to
think it
make.
was the fact that like he chose to engage, like, because normally, like, we get different levels to it, but it's always kind of like reluctantly being integrated into people's families. It's like, oh my goodness, her mama know me, like I gotta deal with her mama or whatever. It's always been kind of a thing, and this is like an act, like they show it as an active choice, like at the end of the Christmas episode, and it's like, all right, I'm parked in here. We all had a conversation, so we already see him approaching the family differently to begin with, and then like having. So I think it's part of it is that like I am now beholden to somebody that's not just the companion. The companion is like you always. The thing is, he always is, but he don't have a relationship with those people. That's the difference. Like even with like um, I'm trying to think of like a good, like what Martha's a good example just because people they like different levels of knowledge of the doctor, but like he didn't know them people, so he cared in the broad sense of like that's Martha family, but he didn't care about them on
Yeah.
an individual level. Like with Jackie, it's like eventually, eventually he cared, but he was like, I care because I care about Rose, and Rose cares about you, but I don't care about you. um, there was a very distinct like disconnect between him and like the additional people in these companions' lives. This is the first time where he both made himself like ingratiated himself into the family, not ingratiated him into the family, but like made himself like a person that they both know that like it's a two-way relationship where like I want you to know the person that your daughter's traveling. They know it like it's clear or it's like very insinuated that like they know his travel. They know what he does. They know that he's been out here. So it's like they've clearly had conversations. They clearly have like again, we don't know what points of reference can they name companions? We don't know, but we know that they like have had conversations and know who he is in a way that I don't think other people do until it like becomes a problem. It's like, oh well, we on another planet and your daughter may or may not die, and it's like, what the what?
It
Whereas with
makes
them, it's
me
like you going to another planet, so be
wonder
safe.
if so yeah, it makes me wonder if at this point, because again, 73 yards is this weird thing where we don't know if everything that happened actually happened. So in 73 yards, Ruby connects with Unit and like some of the other retired companions
Mm-hmm.
that like know each other, have formed this club, support each other. It is not clear to me at this point in what we think is the actual timeline whether or not Ruby or her family is aware of them. I feel like if they were, that would be enough information for her mama to know that this man cannot keep her safe. That's what he said. Like,
Well, maybe not,
but
because
it also
the
seems.
companions in unit are the ones that made it, so they're
I mean,
fine technically, right? So like, if you don't have a deeper conversation with them or not, like, so
I
I
just
think
feel like the question of why they would need a support group to begin with.
because they get left. That don't necessarily require you to die or like get hurt. It's hurt emotionally. You know what I mean? Like,
Which
to me, that which
is what.
counts. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want my child to get hurt emotionally, but they can like cry it out. I don't want them to like die. So like, if I'm choosing the pains, if you come back and your heart is broken, that's gonna be so sad for me. But you come back, right? Like, as a, yeah, it's one of those things. I think that's my that's how I read it, only because they make that point, and there's a few times where they like, I feel like they make, again, they're very inconsistent with the family, but they make points to like show that they know stuff about him. Like, this is a two-way relationship. It's not just the companion like relaying info about the doctor to them and them not, like, you know what I mean? They just only know what the companion knows. I feel like it's very much insinuated that like he had told them, that he shared with the whole family. Because even again, at the end of the Christmas special, we see like he started like, yeah, it's called Gallagher or whatever he does. Like, he's like walks out, talks to all of them. It's not just Ruby. So I think that kind of goes to why it's extra. Like, I don't think it's like, oh, Ruby's, which would make me mad if it was like, oh, Ruby's the one that'll break me. Like, I think it's more so
That's
like,
what
this is
it
the
feels
first time
like.
I take it. I mean, I read it more just like, this is the first time I've actively chosen to like do it the way 14 did it, and essentially like that I've chosen to be a part of this family, right? In a way that other times it's happened in whatever way. So that's how
Do
I
you
read it, because
think
I
that
think there's a
that
reason they
is
flash back to that
a
specifically
moral
versus
choice,
like,
though? Like, is that a fair thing for him to do?
I don't think he makes moral choices a lot. I mean, that my thing is that I don't. We talk about this a lot. I don't necessarily even agree with the doctor's morality. Like, I sometimes think like we need to kill these people, like, or like they need to die. Like, you don't have to actively be part of that, but you can not prevent them from dying. I don't. I am very much. We've had this conversation multiple times across multiple episodes,
Yeah.
different platforms. That like Batman, they be like, "Oh, if you kill a killer, same amount of killers in the world." I said, "But if you kill two killers, we back in the ring. Like, we back in the green, bitch." So if the singular killer kills hella killers, I think it balances. So this is not a good argument. It's only a good argument if every
Oh,
killer
we
kills
back
one
in the
killer. Like, you know what I
green.
mean? Whatever. So
Oh
my
my
point is,
god.
morally, I don't always agree with the doctor. I think I understand it from his point of view.
I don't know. It just feels like he's decided that, oh, instead of like potentially hurting, even if the minimum is heartbreak, right? Even the minimum is like breaking someone's heart, then instead of one person, I'm gonna do three. Or really put three people at risk, because we also have seen folks come for like the companions' families and stuff, trying to get um to them or the doctor. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I don't know enough about
Because also,
this
does the
doctor.
companion always have to be humans? I guess so. I mean, I get that it's like a
See,
show,
this
it's
is
like.
I was about to say, this is a thing. I feel like we brought this up like randomly in one of these like older, like when I don't know. This came up at a point, and I was like, I am tired of humans as the companions, but I know
Right,
what humans are like. I don't need to be that. But I mean, I guess they meant to be the audience, they didn't. But like, personally, I would
right.
like to see
I
like
think it could
where
be
you get to
interesting.
invent a culture that completely has a different view on things. So there's always a new perspective, because it's like this person on their planet experiences XYZ. Yeah, I'm kind of tired of the companion being human. I don't remember where I said it somewhere, and I was just like, I really think the next companion, if they should be from another planet, like they should, like they can maybe be humanoid for the like obviously ease of putting the person into like
Mhm.
makeup. Like, I understand the practical reasons you ain't gonna have like something that you have to digitally put in area or whatever. They could be humanoid. I mean, Star Wars got all kind of humanoid people in, different costumes. That, come on, like, we got the Disney budget now. So what is the hold up, But I've always thought that. I feel, because I think that's also the thing too. It's like humans are limited in Like there are a lot of shared experiences, but like the thing that like we have a lot of shared experiences, but we also have a lot of unique experiences. If every unique experience is not going to be reflected, then like let's just not try to reflect none of us and just do somebody like you don't have to reflect nobody if it's an alien. You can make up a culture for them. You can make up rules and you can challenge the doctor because there's not the human morality we have to play into it at all. Because now we have like the doctor who knows enough about humanity to have the understanding of human rules, but doesn't necessarily feel like he has to apply them. That would just be more interesting. It would just be more interesting. It would make everything funner because you can make up stuff. You can actually go full sci-fi fantasy and like invent rules and things. I don't know. That was a what's that word? That was a off track. You know what that word is. Diversion.
Tangent.
Yeah, it's a tangent. There was a word I was thinking of that started with a D, but my brain ain't branding today. But
Yeah, and then in terms of my other try notes, I said I really liked Rogue's character. I liked the idea of getting introduced to kind of a new sort of complex character, someone with the bounty hunter job, and like thinking through what that means and looks like, and seeing them play off the doctor. It kind of reminded me of like River Song, um, or some of the other characters like that. That's like they got a lot going on. They're not. I mean, they're like the doctor. They're not good. They're not bad. They are chaotic fun.
I
Yeah,
was about to say they are very much like
mirrors
mirrors,
exactly.
like mirrors. But they claim they own their ism. They own their things, right? Like they are very clear. Like I mean, he's rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off him and stick to you. Like, sir, be so serious.
Given that that was one of my strong points, one of my weak point is that I am annoyed that he had to die for the sake of this plot. But I guess it is what it is. Hopefully, or whatever. The find me. I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't see that as a thing that we're gonna come back to.
Right. That's the part where like I either like it or don't like it, depending on if they circle back to it. This is one of the things like I might like if they circle back to it, but I don't think if they don't,
Yeah.
and I'm like, y'all just did this for nothing. That's what I'm about to be on a pin in that one. If they circle back, it might be cute. It might be great, right? Because like we have like you said, River Song, the Jack. I'm just like
Yeah.
obviously we don't, but very much so. The
Yeah.
people we've
Jack's
circled
fun.
back to, and I kind of am hoping like that we do. Like it's not just a one off. Because
Mhm.
like you said, like we love that he kind of like
Well, and there was just a lot of screen
it's like that.
time and narrative dedicated to it, right? Like we spent a lot of time with the two of them.
Not something like we learn that character, and we also see how that character, like how Rogue and the Doctor, kind of are opposites that like fill in the kind of gaps in a way. Like it's like oh y'all together were balanced out quite nicely, I think, in terms of just
Mhm.
like storytelling wise. Like I think where the doctor would do one thing, we have the person who would do the other thing, and it would like we might need this kind of energy. Because Ruby gonna do the dumbest shit. Ruby gonna do the dumb shit. But I'm leaving room and hoping that they are going to circle back because, like you said, they spent a lot of time with him. We spent a lot of time with him. We know what he's about. Like we got a good gist of like who he is. We know what he listened to. Like okay, he's giving the box. Okay, it's just like I think we learn more. And this is
What's on
again,
his
this might
Spotify
just be a thing.
playlist?
I do have to point out though that like one of my favorite things about R2D's first series is I always felt like he was great at making one-off characters really strong. So that also makes me nervous because that was like my favorite thing about like these are characters you will never see again, but I remember them so clearly in my head because he's good at making characters think and making them like take up space in the story. So I'm like hoping this is not like him being like, oh, I got you for this episode, baby. But after that, it's a wrap. Like I actually feel like this is a character that should be revisited. I also like the idea of the doctor having like somebody to romance that isn't a companion or like
Yeah.
somebody who is like has not necessarily the same breadth of experience or whatever, but you're not. It's like whenever the companion is basically a human or somebody from Earth, it's like there's always a dramatic power disparity just because the
Mhm.
doctor is the doctor. But when it's another person, they are not a Time Lord. They're not the Doctor. They not new to none of this shit either. So there's not the same level of like complete and utter like imbalance. There are imbalances because
Yeah, they're still not
how
a
old is
Time
this?
Lord.
Right, but it's not as different because they're not. It's not like there's not like a little infant baby that knows nothing about the universe that you're
I
like
like it
also flirting with.
for that reason, and I also think it's like healthy and productive to like show that different types of relationships like
Yep.
are meaningful to people, and like people need different types of relationships. Like you don't necessarily have to have
Yes.
one person that is your
The end
romantic
all be
partner
all.
and best friend and whatever. Like you can have Ruby is my best friend and this person is the person that like whatever I'm into with romantically. And then apparently the Doctor is also still very much feeling the need for this extended family piece with the way he's interacting with Carla and like the way we saw
Mm-hmm.
14 like engage with Donna's family. And so I think it's cool to see this sort of buildup of like the
Different types of
Doctor, especially someone who has lost so much, allowing himself to grow different types of connections with
and
different
have
types of
connections.
people
Mm-hmm.
so that every single companion that comes on stage, people aren't expecting that person to be all of it. Like,
Right, and it
um,
also just makes room for like again. Hopefully, this is not a situation where it's a one-off character, but it leaves room for like the last episode was a situation where had I liked the like lead, it would have been a fun episode, or like if it wasn't what it was. But like I like when we sometimes are not watching the companion is not our eyes into the story, where it's like another person who doesn't know
mhm.
what's going on, right? So I like the idea that like that kind of character can exist and move through the space, and it's like we know the Doctor is not. It's not like that detached way that like the Doctor usually engages. Like we like, oh, the Doctor might cares. I don't know how to explain that, but like there's something about the Doctor being open in the way that the Doctor has been open that makes it feel like anybody who is introduced can be impactful and meaningful in a way because the Doctor is allowing that like connection with people. So I don't know. I hope Rogue comes back. And to be clear, I went to this like not Jonathan. Not I dislike him. There's just that like just like here he go. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I don't know where that started, but it's happened every time I've seen him on anything. I'm like, there goes John. I don't know what he did. I can't call it. Was he in Hamilton? It might be like was he in Hamilton? Am I having like I don't know. Either
I don't
way,
know nothing
so it's
about
also
that.
like I was primed for reasons I don't know, and I can't identify, and I gotta work on that within myself. But I was like primed to be annoyed by this character. I was ready to be like, here he go, about to be, and then it was like immediately I was like, oh no, I like this. This is cute. So it was like if the character is good, if the writing is good, even if I don't, you know what I mean? Like, even if I come in with a bias against whatever the situation is, I'm gonna go with it because it works, right? Like, so I thought it was, yeah, I just really like them. And I'm like, again, the criticism, very valid because they just vamoosed him and we ain't coming back to it. I'm not gonna take too kindly to that because I don't like it anyway because it feels cheap if you
Yeah.
are never going to like address this character again. Yep, it was Hamilton. Lin-Manuel Miranda. I knew it was him. I knew it had something to do with like this. That's why it was annoyance and not like hate. It was just like slightly annoyed. But anyway, um, yeah. I like I if he doesn't come back, me and you on the same page. I think that's whack. But I took it as like maybe this is genuinely just the beginning for that. Man, because I just want that relationship. I want to see what that looks like. It don't have to necessarily go into like, oh, we're in love, whatever. But like also, I don't know if he said it, but like the Doctor molds over that ring. It's like
Yeah.
that's what the change the life part I assume is about. It's just like this person has impacted him in a
It
way.
was just
And I think I took
fascinating.
that also as like the concept of like being open to genuinely having a romantic connection. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm married this person, but like the idea of the ring did not scare him, I think, as much as he expected it to be scary. He's like, oh shit, wait a minute, I kinda like the idea of getting a ring. Like I kind of like like in my head, it was like he saw the ring, it was like not a ring, but then wasn't offended by it and realized like, oh, I'm not scared of this. Like I might have been 2 or 3 bodies ago, right? Like 2 or 3 bodies ago, a ring would have been like, I guess I'll have to drop you off. You is given a little attached, like, But I don't know. So I thought it was fun that like and interesting that he like kept like that ring was added to the arsenal because jury is given, but it's only meaningful to me, or not only meaningful, but I think it's less meaningful if it's just like that. The ring is all we get, right? Like, damn, hey, it had to happen, and you never revisit this character again, right? Like that'd be
Well, especially
shady.
because, and this was part of my like not weak, it's sort of a neutral. It's just like an observation. Like we go
Mm-hmm.
through the whole thing, we get this kiss with them, and that's lovely here for the gay shit. But like we didn't get that with 13 after spending a whole season of time and investment.
Oh, it wasn't sweet.
And so it's just interesting, that you're going to give us this moment and then have the character immediately go away. Like it's like, I don't know.
And our chat is saying like, even if they find them, what if they, they took his essence? They like body snatched him. I mean, I kind of feel like they wouldn't, because what would be the point? It ain't fun,
Straight
right?
up
Like,
revenge.
but it's like 5 of them and 1 of him. Body snatching would be the last thing I would do in that situation. Like, there are so many ways I'm gonna beat your ass. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna kill you. No, baby, you living. Maybe that's just me. But I feel like these kind of people would be on that same level of like, if I'm living, bitch, you fucking living. Okay? By hook or by crook. Oh, you gonna feel every one of these years, baby. So I kind of feel like he'll be fine. Not fine, not like safe, but fine in terms of like retrievable. Like, but I feel like the problem that was my main fear about like Ruby. I'm like, they gonna torture Ruby. And then cause she hurt one of them too. They don't aim like it's just um, you know, yeah. And okay, this is true. Ty in our chat says that like it's notable that 13 is the only one who hasn't kissed anyone. It's very notable. Why? Because they waited to the very end of her tenure to be like, you know what? She actually does kind of low key have feelings, and it's for the female companion. And we was like, now kiss, and they
Yeah,
didn't.
and we couldn't get that.
The problem with that is that they kept playing about it. That's the thing. I wouldn't have cared if you didn't play about it. You could have just never addressed it, and we would have left it alone. I would have been mad because a lot of people was reading into the vibes. A lot of people was seeing it. We was the SS Thasman up in here, but you could have just left it, and we would have been like, at least it ain't no canon reason to expect a kiss. No, you said we gonna have them get right up to the wall, but then we're not gonna actually let them experience.
But then we get a new doctor, and he's like, "Oh, I met a guy at a party."
Right. Which again is fine. I love that.
I just would have loved to see 13 meet someone at a party. And
right. I hate the
It's
fear. This is not, and this ain't even about this episode or about this ain't even an RTD thing because I don't think RTD has an issue. Actually, this is the one thing I don't think he has an issue about. But I really hate the fear of Chibnall's era because he was like, I want to do all these things and break this ground, but he was actually scared to make those characters challenging for people. Just make them gay, like make them gay. Because every doctor, like for the most part, has expressed or spoken to the idea of like recognizing attractiveness, right? Like like being attracted to somebody, but it's always different levels to it. And it's always different kind of like, yeah, I think that's a good looking fella, or whatever the situation is. Always kind of alluded to. And this is just like, oh, it's a bad bitch over there. What's good? I love that. Let's go. Like, let's just skip all of that like pretense. But yeah, let them kiss. Like, I just, man.
Yeah, my to transition. That's my first quote from the TARDIS was the like, "Who's hot, doctor?" Moment when the doctor shows his like what should be psychic paper to prove that he's not a shoulder, and it says, "You're hot," and Rogue is like, "Is this like you're hot or I'm hot?" And it
But
was
that's
a
like, oh,
fun,
everybody
flirty,
has. I
chaotic
mean,
moment. You're like both hands.
all these are DJ quotes because DJ took notes. But I love this one. I actually was cackling. It was like, I cannot sanction wedlock for creatures from hell.
Yeah.
Because, the little asshole dude and the actual Ruby playing to be body snatched was trying to get married. Which again, like, would that have been legal for them? Would they have been legally married? I'm curious. This is how religion. Like there are
Yep.
people like in the face of the most wild things. Like this is not honestly the time.
He's like,
But
I
you know
don't
what?
understand shit else about what is happening here, but what I do know is I
What
cannot
I
marry
do
your ass.
know, right? That is not in my Bible. I'm like, all right, you know what? I can't even argue with you. Y'all, you can have that one. No, that was fun.
Oh man. Um, Indeed. And I also just had the moment of the doctor realizing that, what the doctor calls cosplay, we've already discussed is more like LARPing, but this is part of why I didn't really take it as like a shady thing because he was just like, oh, the dancing, the drama, the emotion. Like, I think it's like pointing to the fact that people, will do role play roles or like engage in this kind of fandom for lots of reasons.
Hmm.
There's entertainment and fun there. And, yeah, I just appreciated
That's
that.
fair. Like I said, it was more of a thing of like so like not shade in like a nasty way. It's just like a some of y'all be weird. Some of y'all be doing extras. You know what I mean? Which is the dichotomy or like the two sides of it. Because we see the doctor and Ruby just kind of go with it, and then we see them doing extras. You know what I mean? Like they going all the way out. They commit murder. They doing extra stuff. They like, oh, I want to be. I don't want to be this. I want to be boo boo boo. You know. So I think that's fair. Um, One of the quotes that Talia shared was, Lady Wallace, how brave of you to wear that gown this evening after I wore it so beautifully last season. Because, first off, yes, Shay, she said, bitch, you got that Ross version, okay?
The
You
best
got it
part
off season.
is that this is one of the children, right? So like they are
What?
so
Wait, at
keen
that point,
on like
she's
the
not a
human
shoulder yet,
shade.
right?
No, oh
I don't
no.
think that, I think that's
No, she's
her.
not. You're
And
right.
that's
You're
just
right. You're
her.
right.
That's
It's
the
just
human.
human.
So
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
wild about it. That's I think part of what is appealing to become her is like, oh, she's a messy boo.
Yeah,
I gotta be her.
you're right.
I gotta play this role because she's giving what needs to be gave. Because I was in there like, I mean, if I had to pick somebody, like, I literally was like, if I had to pick somebody, it would definitely be Miss Ma'am. So I felt them on that. I was with them on that.
She was doing a lot.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun one.
Um, and then one more from Talia is Lord Barton. So I think this is Tolder Barton because he's at this point
Yeah,
killed the. Yeah, he
but
was
to be clear,
snatched
I
up
feel
in the
like
beginning.
the
I
other one
thought
was
he was a jerk
the
either
same.
way. Like the real one would have.
Yeah.
But he's being introduced to Ruby, and Ruby is like, yeah, I see who you are. I see the like fuckboy energies here. And he tells her, my dear, you should learn to be admired in silence, which Ruby does not take well. And responds, yeah, well, if you spoke to me and the girls like that on Friday night down at the spinning wheel, then we'd rip you a new one, which is valid
I
and
thought it
fair.
was
So
funny that she was code switching.
he threw
I feel
out
like
and like
she
the weird, yeah, she was
it
just
was
picking and
hilarious to
choosing
me because
when
I
she
was
wanted to
like,
be in 1813 and when she was just going to be saying
right.
shit that
I
does.
like I thought it was funny because I think about like obviously as black people we code switch and like when we're in majority white spaces or stuff like that, just like it's a thing we do naturally. But a lot of people do it across different like different, groups that you have to engage with. It's like some people have like two or three different just whole lexicons depending on who they target to, like just depending on what you know what I mean? And so I just thought it was funny that like she was carrying her like she was with the 1813 the whole time, and then as soon as she gets like a little annoyed by a dude, just completely just like, nah, mate, we're not doing that. And like, nah, love. It was just funny because I was like, oh, the hood jumped out. Because like it's very much that like just letting that max. It was just funny to me. I just thought it was. I'm like, she's not her code switcher. Like not her forgetting that she's supposed to be posh. That she's supposed to be like, because even in the like time period, like even if like she didn't even she adjusted like she had was so like keeping up with it, and then she's like, not only did you just completely
Well,
drop the whole pretense, but then you also just went straight modern with the like you naming places. You give these people future knowledge.
and it's the doing that herself and then also encouraging Emily before she realizes that Emily is a children to do the same. What?
Like realizing,
based
I'm like,
on
you are teaching
your
her.
modern experience. Like, you are about to have this woman outcast from society. What are you talking about?
Right, you about to have her out here just shunned because you trying to give her modern ideas, womanhood and whatnot, which is like, I love it energy wise, but it make a better decision practicality wise. But it was funny to me. I was like, okay, Ruby, like you just go with. I just like that Ruby does like, and she's annoying because sometimes like you could just do less, but I also love that she just be doing shit. And if that's a consistent character thing, because I would hate it if that was like sometimes she's so like this is a really smart character that does make smart decisions, and then some episodes she does dumb shit. Cause you like, why would you do that? But if she consistently do dumb shit, you like, this is just who she is, and I love it. It's just like how Martha always like pulled up and was like, I guess I gotta do this shit myself because like she always had to like figure it out. She's like, I'm not about to play with this man. I'm not about to play with this man. Yeah, like Donna's like, I'm not gonna play with you today. I'm gonna do what I need to do. So I like that the consistency of that characterization, which again, these are some of the highlights and like the things I always like about Russell T Davies writing is that like pretty good with character, pretty good with consistency, pretty good with like you feeling like you know a person. So like I feel like I know Ruby. I feel like I know like she do be doing stuff.
Yeah.
She do be doing stuff.
I mean, I definitely think that we know Ruby more than we know the Doctor at this point, though this episode did a lot.
But I think that's fair. I kind of feel like that's also fair for the Doctor. So it's like he's enigmatic. He's less enigmatic than he has been in the past. So I would say it's like tricky. It's a tricky balance. I still don't know how much of what we see is him or the him he wants Ruby to see him as.
Exactly.
Damn, that was a boop, mic drop.
You can find us at blacknerdscreate.com and kick it with us in the Black Nerds Create Discord server. We're on the site formerly known as Twitter at BLKNerdsCreate and everywhere else at Black Nerds Create. Talk to us on socials using the hashtag TARDIS and let us know what you think about Rogue.
The episode.
And the hot guy. Both ends.
Do you think Rogue is being tortured in another dimension? Yes or no? Let us know. I'm sorry.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.